What is good people? You are now listening to another episode of At the Plate with Danny Foxworth. I am your humble narrator, Danny Foxworth, and today we have a super special guest in the building. He's originally from Oakland, hails from Seattle, Washington, film buff, film critic, film reviewer, doer of all good things. We got Tim Hall in the building, the people's critic. My man Tim, what's good, bro?
Man, it's good to be here, man. I'm excited. When I got the message asking me to come on, I was pumped because I rarely get a chance to talk about baseball, like ever. But I want to say this before we get into the whole nitty gritty. Mm-hmm. I was recently on the Mundane Festival with Chris Lambert, and we talked about how the internet can be a very toxic place. Right or wrong, it happens. But there are good people in that space, man, and you are one of them dudes. Like, I never see you on no nonsense. You always showing love to people. You proactive with people. You stand on what you say. You don't be on no BS. Like, and man to man, bro, I appreciate that, bro, because it's easy to fall into like weird nonsense, man, and you don't do that, man. You talk about snacks and meeting internet friends and baseball and keep it cool, man. I just want to say, while I had you, bro, how much I see it and I appreciate it, bro. We need more of that.
Bro, thank you so much, man. Thank you so much. So just to start off, how did you get into the realm of doing film or like reviewing and critiquing film?
Man, I always loved movies, even as a kid. Like my uncle, man, he had me watching stuff I should have never seen. I watched Scarface when I was young and Nightmare on Elm Street. Like, so it kind of got me into watching movies a lot. And then when I was 19, I worked at a theater downtown Seattle, and I ended up seeing just everything: indie films, directors. It was like a year plus I worked there, and it sort of stuck with me. I started seeing film as this space where like you're able to have discussions about fear and jealousy and love and hate and admiration and these things that we feel all the time. And this was a space where you saw people sort of exercising these things out in real time and seeing how they play out in real life scenarios. That films can be informative, they can be educational, they can be, aspirational. And I started to see that. And it made me love it even more. So now I just enjoy talking about them, talking to directors, talking to actors, just having a good time, hearing about the process, watching greatness when you watch like a Denzel or you watch a Meryl Streep or whoever. Like, I've always appreciated that. Like, watching somebody just be great for 2 hours. Like, I don't know if you saw Tar, but it's Kate Blanchett. She kills it for like 2 hours. It's her movie, and she's so good in it. Like, to me, I love that. That's like watching LeBron put up 60 in the Garden. Like, it's excelling at their craft at a high level for a very long time. Like, I love that about actors and directors.
Dope. And how did that love of film transition to you being like reviewing and critiquing films?
Man, that's a funny story. So I just started writing little blurbs on like a blog, sending my friends. I was doing silly recaps like the BET Awards, just stuff that sounds funny, right? I'm at home chilling, like I'm on my laptop, bro. I'm just goofing around. And they thought it was funny. And then like the Seattle PI at the time were like, hey, we're looking for bloggers, whatever. So I sent them the idea of like, hey, what if I did pop culture film review stuff? Like, knowing they say yes. I don't know no one over there. I just sent it, was like, oh. So I started planning, hit the homie Andre, like, yo, this finna happen. He gave me some really good advice. He said, don't do anything that you will regret. Don't stand on something you don't believe in for whatever clicks and views. Don't do that. And like, be consistent. That was all he told me. And so I stuck with those principles, man. And that goes on for like a year and a half. I'm hanging out with this young lady one weekend, and I get an email. We eating somewhere. I get an email, and they're like, yo, do you want to come interview Michael Jai White for Black Dynamite?
Oh, wow.
So I show up at this. Now, I never interviewed no one before. I show up at this theater. Now, in my assumption, there's a Q&A after. I'm like, oh, this is part of Q&A. So I'm here to watch this Q&A, whatever, right? Mm-hmm. But as I'm leaving, shout out to the homie Ginger. She gave me this opportunity. So Ginger hits me. She grabs me and she's like, yo, wait right here. Michael's going to be over in like 5 minutes. So I'm sitting at the table. Here comes Michael Jai White, this big yoked up dude sat down and we rapped for like 5 minutes. And I wasn't prepared or really, but like something that I learned from my dad is like being comfortable talking to people, strangers.
Yeah.
And it is this gift I didn't know I had, really. And here I am just chopping up with some dude I've never met before about his movie. And it went well. So as I'm leaving, Ginger's like, yo, if you want to be a accredited critic, like email us his application. I'll email it to you. So I emailed back, and then here we go. Now I'm part of a Film Critics Association and reviewing movies, interviewing people, talking to people I've never years that I talked to. In a million years that I sit down and be like, but I was telling someone the other day, it's funny. I was telling, at an interview I was doing with Zach Braff for his new movie, we were just talking beforehand. I was like, yo, my sister makes me nervous. I have a twin sister, and she's a fan of stuff. And so I call her, like, yo, I'm about to go interview Mekhi Phifer. And now I'm nervous because she's like, oh my God, Mekhi Phifer, remember when he did this? And now I'm nervous. She's the only one who get me nervous. So that's been fun, man. It's been cool to do dope stuff for my friends, with my friends. It's been great, man. I love it. So I've just been enjoying this ride.
Man, that's so dope that something as simple as doing blogs just snowballed into bigger things.
Yeah.
Like, if you would have told, I mean, Michael Jai White, Black Dynamite.
Yeah, I was nervous as hell too. Like, he just came walking over, and I was like, all right, I'm talking to him now. But I will tell you, much like your podcast, right? You just did it. Like, you just got to just do it. If you something you want to do it and just try it. If it don't work out, taking the leap is the important thing. You took the leap. So I constantly and just look for opportunities to take leaps and do stuff I've never done. I'd never been on television before. I got an email that was like, yo, you want to come on the news and talk about the Golden Globes? I said yes immediately. And then I hit the homegirl, Leah. She was like, what are you going to wear? So now I'm like conscious about what I'm going to look like on TV. But I'll never forget, like, I learned something in that moment. So I show up on TV and it got this big rundown. It's like, it's the Golden Globes. They want to talk about all kind of stuff. And so she was like, what are you comfortable talking about? Now, the hubris in me wants to be, everything. Yeah, I'm good. But the truth is, no, I'm not comfortable talking about all of this. These 6 things, she was like, bet, scratched everything else off the rundown, and we hit them 6 things. And I was like, oh, okay, this is how this worked. And it was dope. And it was one of the few things, my father, he's since passed, but it was an opportunity for him to actually see me do this. He's heard about it. I've talked to him about it. So my sister could show him, like, hey, it's on YouTube. She could show him. And he was always so proud. Like, I go visit him in his nursing home. Mm-hmm. He would be like, oh, you're the kid who talked about the movies. Like, I was like, oh, he's out here talking about me. So that was dope. I was happy that I had opportunity for him to see it and see me, be like him and talk to strangers all the time.
Man, that's so dope. And I know he had to be super proud seeing his son up on the screen like that. I know he had to be pointing at people in the nursing home like, that's my boy right there.
Yeah, he was. He had a good time with it, man. I appreciate that opportunity, man.
Man, that's so dope. God, I almost want to not talk baseball. You bringing up? I almost want to do the rest of the episode just on Black Dynamite.
But hey, we talking about listen, we can do that one of these days, man. That's a funny movie. It's still funny.
That's like in my personal top 3.
It's great.
I love that movie so much. But I'm gonna get into baseball now.
Yeah, we'll get into baseball.
Yeah. So, what were your earliest memories of the sport?
Man, so I was born in Oakland. I lived in the Bay Area as a young kid for a minute, and then we moved to Sacramento. Still very Northern California. So I was an Oakland A's fan. And I don't know where that came from, if I'm honest with you. Because my great-grandfather was a Dodgers fan from back in the day because of Jackie Robinson, rock with the Dodgers. That was they did right by Black people. I'm doing this. My dad, not so much. He's from Florida. He's from Jacksonville. They had no baseball down there. So I don't know, but I just love the Oakland A's. I love that 88 A's team, and that was my first official heartbreak. They got swept by the Dodgers, and I cried like a baby that first game. That Kirk Gibson walk-off that everyone loves to show.
Yeah.
I still cringe when I see it. And I was a kid when I watched it. So then here comes 89 A's. It's Ricky Henderson, Dave Henderson, Dave Parker, Terry Steinbach, Walt Weiss, the Bash Brothers, Dave Stewart, that whole squad. I love them. the first speech I gave in school was about my love for the Oakland A's.
Really?
I had a bag with a cutout from the newspaper and had to talk about the A's. And that stuck. That was my first like love of the sport. And it was the first sport before basketball, before football, was just, man, I love watching. I would read box scores. I was doing all of that as a kid, collected cards.
Yep.
Yeah, all of that. And it just stuck with me.
We're reading the box scores. God, that's going back, man. That's a lost start right there.
That was before, like, access we have now to be like, oh, who did so-and-so lose to in this? I can just Google that. But before that, you had like baseball almanacs, and you had like, that's how I learned. The first report I did in school that I can remember in the 5th grade was on Lou Gehrig. Like, wow. It was this thing that I just was always attached to. And then I kind of fell out of love with baseball. I don't know what it was, but then I started playing MLB The Show, like, or some other game back in 03. Because I was playing with Boston and I liked their team. I was like, yo, they hitting, like, this is a fun team to play with. Yeah. My boy EJ's gonna hear this, and I want to apologize to him right now. He's a Yankees fan. I told him before the season started that Boston was going to the World Series because they had just lost that walk-off to the Yankees. He laughed at me. Mm-hmm. And then here we go, that crazy 04 Red Sox team wins the World Series. And that kind of brought me back. Because I spent that whole year like, yo, I'm going to follow the Red Sox. I'm going to follow them. I'm going to read stuff. I'm going to lock in. I locked in. So that game 5, game 6, and I was locked in and I was stressed for a team that I didn't really care about that much. All of a sudden I'm nervous, watching Ortiz walk it off. Like, yeah, it was just like, oh, this is what I loved about it. Like the October baseball stuff, all of that, man. Like that brought me back into it. And then I kind of kept it. I mean, I had little sparks here and there when I got here with the Mariners. Like when I first moved up here, like in the mid to late 90s, I remember going to the Mariners when they were good, right? We had Griffey and all that. And they had a 1-game playoff against the Angels. And I went to that game. And we was in the bleeds, bro. We was way at the top at the Kingdome. It's no longer there. Man, Kingdome. The Kingdome, bro. It was trash when I was going. But they won that game. And they ended up losing in the ALCS to Cleveland later on, like 6 games. But I remember that's the first big sports moment I was ever at, like for real. Since then, I've been to playoff games and been to stuff, but that was my first, like, the energy was different. Like, they had to win to get in, and it was nervous. Then, they ended up winning like 9-1 or something crazy. But I remember that feeling of like, oh, sports is crazy. This euphoric feeling because your team wins. Yeah. I tell you is that you're going to have way more disappointments than you are. Oh, 100%. You are feeling like you top of the world. But I love that. And so that sort of continued. That started my love for the Mariners. And obviously they had Griffey. Like, we know what that was. Like, of course, man. He was the coolest guy in sports. It was hard not to root for him. And the coolness was so effortless with it. Man. Just seeing him around the city was always like, Griffey. It was so crazy to see. And to think, like, at a time in Seattle, man, we had Griffey, A-Rod, Randy Johnson, Kemp was here, Peyton was here. Like, it was just this crazy influx of real good Hall of Fame level talent in the city at the same time. Man, and you talking about having so many lean years being a fan of a particular team, it makes the playoffs, it just makes those high moments that much sweeter. Yeah, for sure. For sure. So who were some of your favorite players? Overall, or for the Mariners? Let's do Mariners first. Past and present. Man, I mean, obviously Griffey, Edgar Martinez was fun to watch. Jay Buhner, something about, I mean, he struck out a lot, man, but something about, he just looked like a dude I would know. Like Jay Buhner, like a regular everyday's man. He was fun. Ichiro was obviously a fan favorite, man. It was cool having him here all those years. Oh yeah. Presently, man, I like this team we have now. I remember when last year during the spring training, seeing Julio Rodriguez highlights, and I was like, oh, he might have a little something. We haven't had a star power like that since Griffey.
Yeah.
Not just that he could hit, like he felt like a star. And then he started slow, but then he picked that joint up, and then he had a sort of coming out party at the home run derby. And I was like, yeah, he's arrived. Right? This is all right. But that whole time, I mean, they got, Hernandez, they got him from the Blue Jays. I like Ty France. I mean, Cal Raleigh is a god since he had that walk-off home run to put him in the playoffs last year. So it's a fun team, man. They're really fun to watch. Obviously, Castillo, Felix Hernandez back in the day was fun to watch.
Oh man, King Felix
was a beast, man. But like
he was.
I hate it because I feel like, man, they really wasted that kid, man. Like he was winning Cy Youngs on like a 60-win team.
Yeah. Right.
What are we doing? They went around, they signed Robinson Cano, did a bunch of stuff that just never really panned out. And there were a couple years in there where there would be like, and people felt this same sort of energy this last year, which is end of the season, if the Mariners could win some, they could make the playoffs, and they would lose, or like Boston or somebody would win and knock them out in the last minute, like that magic number would just not enough. So there's a lot of those kind of memories with people attached to like those years with Cano and some of those free agents that try to go out and grab that just didn't work out. But I feel like now it's good. They've really done a really good job of trying to build through the draft. They're not getting any splashy free agents. They're doing their best, which I like. It's a process, and I think people are being patient about it. But they're in a good space, man. I'm happy where the team's at.
Word. How about what are some of your favorite Mariners moments?
Oh, that 95 run, for sure.
Yeah.
Fun, man. That Yankees series, all that was, I still remember those games. Like, I still remember watching them. I remember, like, people for real at home, and that was just a fun time. I mean, the 2001 series where they were won, like, 116 games or whatever, even though they won all those games, they never really felt like a team that was, like, going to do something. They just won a lot.
Yeah.
Watch that team, was like, oh, they're finna go there. Nah, they never did any of that. But yeah, that 95 moment, Griffey sliding in, and man, those moments. Griffey, it's funny because I totally forgot about it until Chris Lambert brought it up, but Griffey hitting the warehouse in Baltimore. I forgot he did
at the home run derby. Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, I remember that. But one of my other moments it was a Mariners game, but I went to a perfect game.
Really?
Mariners.
Who pitched?
Man, I forgot his name. He played for, it was the White Sox. I have the coin somewhere in my room, but I'm at the gym. The security guard is like, hey, I can't go to the game. You want tickets? So I called a homeboy, Jermaine. He's a big baseball fan. I was like, yo, let's go. We go by the 6th inning. I'm like, yo, homie got a perfect game going. Like, so I'm mumbling like, there's been like a handful in like Major League Baseball history.
Yeah.
By inning 7, people were kind of cheering. By the end of the game, like, yo, we watched someone pitch a perfect game, which was nuts.
What are the odds? What are the odds of that happening?
The one thing I am missing, I've never seen a baseball brawl. I need to get that off my bucket list.
Yeah, I haven't seen one of those either. So, who are some of your favorite non-Mariners players, past and present?
Man, I always hated and loved Jeter. I had this hate-love relationship with Derek Jeter because he was so good, but he played for the Yankees.
Right.
when he cut off throw against the A's and threw it to, I was like, what kind of sorcery is this, bro? Like, you just like, I remember being blown watching it on TV because I was like hoping the A's would win. I love David Ortiz. I love watching him hit. And similar to another guy who's a current favorite of mine is Yordan Alvarez, although he did the Mariners dirty last year with that walk-off. No kidding. When the homies is texting the group chat about the update on the game, I'm not watching it.
Yeah.
You know how fans are. I was like, I'm not going to watch. I want to jinx the team. They said Alvarez is up. I said out loud, oh, this game's over. He's just one of them dudes. Like, and Ortiz had it. Like, rough series. You saw it last year in the World Series. Alvarez is slumping a little bit, but he hit that joint in this game 6 to the moon.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's one of them dudes, man. So was Ortiz, one of those guys. I love Shohei Ohtani. I wish he was a Mariner. I cried thinking about the Mariners being his second team that he wanted to come to. I love watching him play. I love Bryce Harper. He's fun. I like guys a little bit. I love Tatis. I wish he.
Yeah, me too.
I like Trey Turner now. Watching him in the World Baseball Classic, like he turned it up a little bit. I love Mookie Betts. Cody Bellinger. I like watching him play. When he was always one of my favorite hitters. And I love those 90s Braves teams, even though I wasn't they just looked cool.
Yeah.
I love those teams when I was a kid. And I love, now I love like Acuna. I think I wish he'd play for my team. He's incredible to watch.
He's my favorite player in the league right now. Favorite non-Rangers player.
Who's your favorite Rangers player?
Right now? Adolis Garcia, Albano.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my guy.
That's your guy?
Yeah, him and Corey Seager.
I like Corey Seager too. I think he'll have a good year this year.
Yeah, we'll see what happens, man. We got the Giants old manager, Bruce Bochy.
Yeah.
So, and dude, I almost caught the Holy Ghost at work when I saw we got Jacob deGrom. I was like, dog.
Those moments as a sports fan, you never forget where you were when you got that.
Had a similar moment when they announced that we got Yu Darvish.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, when I was same thing, dude. I was so tuned in to every sports radio station in Dallas, Fort Worth. I was listening to that whole day.
Yeah. So if you couldn't get Acuna, what non-Rangers player would you love to have on your team?
Damn, that's a good question.
And then it's got to fit, obviously.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Because we could use somebody in left field.
So a left fielder.
Yeah.
I mean, Yordan's sitting right there.
Hey, let's go with him.
Yeah, he's sitting right there. I mean, Shohei for me, I just think he would fit in to the city. He's so big. I saw him last year in person. He's huge, bro. He's that guy, man. I was like, he's humongous.
Yeah.
And he can hit, he can pitch. He's doing stuff that only Babe Ruth did this. Yeah, I want that guy on my team.
That man he's a unicorn.
He is nuts, bro. He's nuts.
And the crack of the bat when his shit goes yard is so satisfying to me.
Listen, man, there's nothing like that sound.
Yeah.
When you're at a game, it's gone.
Yep.
You hear that? Yeah. It's beautiful, man.
And so now we're going to get into the 5 questions portion of the program. So,
oh wow, we already there. Okay.
Yeah. So the first and last question are the same question I ask every guest I have on here, and questions 2 through 4 are 100% random. So, question number 1: what were the ideal items on Tim's school lunch tray?
Man, when I was a kid, I used to love that chicken tettrazini. We used to have that here. You guys have that?
Fancy.
Yeah.
I only heard the chicken tettrazini from the chick that was I think she was on Maury Povich.
Yeah, it was chicken something like that, bro. It was good, man. I remember killing it. And I went to some school, man. I went to 12 different schools when I was from kindergarten to 10th grade. It's a long story. But one spot, man, they had really good nachos. I can't remember. I think it was some school in Vancouver, Washington.
Okay.
And nachos that were nacho day was the day. Then probably some orange juice. I love French fries when I was a kid and I was in school. I always had French fries, so probably French fries. If I'm being honest.
Hey, you can't go wrong with French fries. I'd have them for breakfast still if I could. Question number 2: what is your favorite YouTube channel?
Oh man, my guy Jeremy Johns, a friend of mine. He does movie reviews. Probably his channel. I love watching, just seeing, because we'll often sit next to each other in the film. So I'm always interested to hear how he perceives something. So yeah, probably my guy Jeremy.
Oh. Question number 3: when's the last time you cooked something and tasted it and thought, man, this ain't hitting on nothing?
It was bad?
Yeah.
Ah, dog, that's rough. Oh, no, that's a lot. I tried to make like this vegetarian tacos recipe I saw.
Mm-hmm.
The bell peppers, bro, for some reason, I followed the recipe. Like, for some reason, the diced bell peppers, bro, it just didn't. Maybe they were bad. I don't know, bro. I remember I've been to the taco and was like, oh, this ain't it. Let me order some tacos. Like, I tried the healthy vegetarian taco because I tried one before with like, it was like black beans, like fresh cilantro, some fresh jalapenos, and it was dope. So I was like, oh, let me try this new recipe. Nah.
All right. Question. I'll do a question 4B.
Okay.
What's the last time you cooked something and thought, man, I did the damn thing?
Sunday.
What'd you cook?
Found this recipe. It was pasta, cook your pasta in some chicken broth, which I've never did before. Like I remember I've made rice with it once with chicken broth, and that was fine. Cook my noodles in some chicken broth. I had some spicy chicken sausage, cut that up, olive oil in the pan, and then I took some what's that stuff called? Artichoke dip.
Really?
Okay, so you take the artichoke dip, put it in like a bowl or container, put the chicken broth, the water from the noodle, chicken broth water in there, put a microwave, stir it up as like the pasta sauce, mix it with the pasta and the chicken.
Wow.
Yeah.
That sounds fire.
And it's good. There's something about the texture is great, but like the taste of like the sausage with the artichoke dip and like the chicken broth this in the dip and with the pasta, it perfect. I'm gonna send you the recipe. I got it on my.
Yeah, please do. I need that. I need to try that.
Quick, man. It took me like 12 minutes to do. Like it was super easy to make. Under 15 minutes too, real quick.
Man, okay. I actually said it was question 4 and 4A. Yeah. I was wrong. That was question 3A and 3B. So question number 4. Mm-hmm. What's one thing the social media needs less of?
Negativity, man. Like people, all right, the world is negative, I get. People, like if you hopped on Twitter and you just said, man, I don't really think LeBron James is a Hall of Famer. Like that's some stuff you're doing for engagement you don't really believe is true.
Right.
Less of that. Less of trying to get clicks and views on a negative thing you've done or you said or done or some opinion you're believing is supposed to be sort of contrary to everything else. Being a contrarian for the sake of attention, I guess. Let's start there.
That whole, as a man, why are you doing X, Y, Z?
Yeah. You don't got nothing else to do with your time. You don't got friends. Like you know, like this stuff you used to hear in barbershops and cats would get laughed out the barbershop.
Yeah.
For like some ridiculous, or people would engage in whatever ridiculous thing they're saying in the barbershop. I have a quick story about the saddest thing I've ever seen in a barbershop. It was before like a John Legend concert. Everybody in there getting fresh in the city, right? It's one of them. Dude's pumped, he getting cut up because of his girl, the new girl he met. And he's like, want to see my girl? I'm thinking, this is a bad idea already. Pull out the phone, and his barber says, she looks familiar. He passed it to the other barber, and he says, along stare at the phone, oh yeah, me and the homies know her, and just like pass the phone back.
Oh no!
Is the face I made, and it got quiet. He didn't say nothing for the rest of his cut. He paid for his cut and he left. I said, wow. I said, hey man. And so when he left, dude was like, why you do that? He was like, hey man, I was trying to be honest. Like, man, you gotta
know your audience.
At least pull the man outside after the cut.
Yeah.
It's a packed barbershop on a Saturday. Like, I doubt he ever went back to that joint.
That's a recipe for disaster, especially a Saturday morning.
No, it was packed out, and I was like, man,
that's a powder keg right there.
You never ruined his concert. He can't have fun no more.
Man, lesson learned. Question number 5. What was the last thing that made you laugh uncontrollably?
Oh, I'm not gonna lie to you. It was that Whitlock joke. We called him Crisco Dollar. I had tears in my eyes because it's accurate for one. Now, Whitlock thing he does, where he's the super Christian now. Yeah, man, I laughed. I was at my desk with real tears in my eyes, man. I couldn't believe he said that.
Every time I see him, I think of Fiyastarter talking about him having that brownie on his head.
He did, bro. He showed up. I remember that. I was like, did you remember when it happened?
Yeah, like he was bald, or he had like the super low
2
cut.
days before. He should have with a real flat top, like we weren't supposed to notice. And
then shows up with that brownie on his head.
You know, every time I see him trend for something horrible, I think, man, there's got to be a better way for him to make money, man. There's got to be.
Yeah.
You're not broke. You made a lot of money. Like, what do you don't got to do this. Like, because I know it's not sincere, because it's all based in like nonsense and hyperbole. Like, all right, bro. Good luck.
Yeah. Never I see it, I'm just like, man, I know Ralph Wiley's frowning like crazy right now.
It's never like, oh, what a smart take from him. It's always something egregious.
Yeah.
Like what?
And another thing that makes me think of Fiyastarter in regards to him, it was a super old Fiyastarter episode. And I remember Boss said he looked like the shit monster at the end of Weird Science.
He did say that. You know what's funny about that? Like, they don't remember half the funny stuff that they say on
They don't. That's a whole, man, that's a whole nother episode right there.
Yeah. It is the highlight of my week, especially the tank segment. I mean, I work with this girl now, but I used to work with her before, and she was tanking all the time, bro. It was hilarious. Like, I used to die laughing. But now she works somewhere else. So I don't get to see her, man. But I used to have all kind of material. It's like, oh yeah, she's gonna drop something this week.
Soon as K-Bass said the next email's from Brian, I'm like,
I know, man.
Let's go to work.
Can't be in no meeting. I had to pause. Next email's from Brian. I said, nope. When this meeting is over, I'll listen. So I'm being there. They'd be like, what's wrong with why is he laughing under his desk? No.
Man, so is there anything you want to plug or promote? The floor is officially yours.
Man, not too much. Like you said earlier, I was on the Chris Lambert Mundane Festival podcast. You check that out. Not too much, man. Just ready for the summer movie season. There's a great festival here. It's called Bombat. It's like horror comedy shorts. It's super weird. Like, you'll see some weird stuff in there, man. But it's put on by a great group of gentlemen here, man. It's always fun. That's coming up. We have an International Film Festival coming up. So I'm sure I have some interviews and stuff to be on the lookout for. But I don't know who's coming to town. I haven't even had energy to tap in, but I will at some point, and hopefully talk to some cool people.
Bet. And where can the people find you online?
You can find me, People's Critic, on Twitter, Instagram, and the People's Critic blog for reviews, interviews, some light musings on there.
Man, it was such a great time to be had, man. Thank you for being on.
Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. This is my first foray into this is my West Coast game, so to speak.
You up late, huh?
Yeah, this is my 10 o'clock game, but man, I'm glad I did it, man. It was a lot of fun. And party people, you can find me on IG at Danny Foxworth 843. You can find me on Twitter at Foxworth Danny. Make sure you like, download, and subscribe to At the Plate with Danny Foxworth. Make sure you like, download, and subscribe to the Mundane Festival featuring Chris Lambert. He puts out new episodes every Sunday. It's a feast for the ears, man. I'm telling you. And if you've made it this far, I greatly appreciate you as a listener. And this has been another episode of At the Plate with Danny Foxworth. And until next time, y'all be good. 3 strikes.